Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Elizabeth Spraggins. I am the founder of All Joy Inspired and the owner of Digging from Darkness, Living in Light. Today's going to be a little bit different. I've had just like, wow, you guys. Oh my gosh. So before we begin, I am also a part and the owner of Digging from Darkness, Living in Light, which is a group of mastermind business owners and life's experts in different areas of interest and challenges and conflict resolution. So today we're going to be talking about the power of laughter and how laughter can really be a powerful tool to get you through some of life's most difficult and dangerous situations. Before we begin, I want to thank everyone for being patient with me. They are doing construction at the office right next door to my office space, and it has been a challenging exercise in keeping a sense of humor today. My electricity was off about 30 minutes ago, and they knocked out my internet power about an hour ago, immediately after I was done, recording an interview with our guest today. So if we get interrupted for one reason or another, it's because those professionals next door are with the wiring. Okay, so I'm trying to be good-natured about this. I'm trying to be good-natured about it. My production prep has been interrupted yet again. But it is what it is. And, today, okay, positive talk, right? Today's going to be an exercise in winging it because sometimes your plans do not go how you intend and you got to do the best with what you got. Right. Okay. So here we go. Got some awesome music. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Let's see if we can get this going. Yeah. Okay. I do like that music. I do like it. Hi, everybody. Hi. I'm going to introduce you to an amazing man I've known for several years. He has been through a life which you read in like fiction novels and this guy. His name is Benjamin Manis, not Maines, Manis. 2 N's, 2 syllables. You'll hear about this in the future. To edit for time and content, I had to piece this up a little bit, and with the interruptions in my ability to keep my electricity on. Thanks, fellas. Really appreciate that if you're listening. And then an interruption in my internet. We're a little off today, but you can catch the complete, uninterrupted, unedited interview with Benjamin Manis in the very near future. Later on today, I'll be uploading that. So, oh my goodness. But today's topic is pretty important because I call him Benny. He's Benny. He's Benny to me. But for those of you who are still learning how to do broadcasting, still learning how to be on live, getting your message out, whatever that may be, Benny's the guy you talk to, Benny. And you can see him on my Twitter. I will post his information here in just a little bit, and he will tell you himself. Benny's a character. Benny is a character, and he's a character because he has had a very, very interesting life. So we're going to get started. Again, we're winging it today because we're making the best of what we've got, and that's just how we do things here. So I hope you guys enjoy this.
Say Haas and Pfeffer in my house. We have bunnies. We have
bunnies. We are recording. So I want to introduce you all to one of my very favorite people. He happens to be in Philly, although he's originally from somewhere else. I want to introduce you to
Small town.
Benjamin Ben Maines. Yes. Ben, would you please tell everybody all about Benny Manis? I'm sorry.
How
I've
many
done that
years?
for years. Years. My bad, man. My bad.
Two N's
So
is two syllables. That is the
yeah,
lesson of the day. Two N's is
lesson
just
of the
syllables.
day. You guys, Ben, what do you want us to call you? Benny, Benjamin, Ben, what are we calling you today?
You could call me Ben, Benny, hey you. Whatever pays is fine.
Oh my God, right? I totally, man,
Yeah.
I agree with you. Thank you for coming on and talking to us today. You are somebody I deeply respect and admire for so many reasons. One, because you've helped me uncrap my show. Like I was starting out in a brightly lit room, a fuzzy camera, terrible sound, and no structure whatsoever. And because of you, I now have a show that people actually want to watch. So thank you for that. Thank you for that.
I hope they're watching
and for
now.
well, I mean, they originally started watching
I always
because
thought you liked me for my fashion sense.
your fashion sense. Well, yeah, you remind me of the movie Casinos.
Hey, just because you're in Vegas,
I would be afraid of you kicking my ass, but your wife likes me, so like we're cool.
I'm trying to get both of you to kick my ass. What are you talking about?
Oh my God, right? So I want to let everybody know today that you have the most incredible variety of experience in life, but that is also giving you an expertise in what it is that you do now. Would you please let everybody know a little bit more about you and what it is that you do?
Yeah, well, this is important for your folks out there, right? I'm someone who has failed enough at many different things and made enough mistakes and taken the chances to make enough mistakes to learn something. So anyone who thinks that perfection gets you there 100% of the time is completely out of whack. Even as we speak, I'm being turned down for things. I'm being considered for things. So if you take anything out of this, it's you get to a point of expertise from taking a swing and volunteering for every horrible thing that comes down the turnpike, as well as good things. But the old adage is you miss 100% of the swings you don't take.
Oh crap. Okay, so I'm fiddling with buttons again. So we're introducing you to Benny. Benny is, and as you're about to learn, Benny has seen things in life that most people only read about or see on the news once in a while, or when the hits the fan. Benny is an incredible human being who has developed a wildly fantastic sense of humor because of what he's been through in life. Now, the power of laughter. I swear I've got this all written up because I was taught to do these things and prepare for a show. But when you come under physical duress for one reason or another, whether it be you're developing health problems or you've got an acute injury of some kind, or you're dealing with depression, or maybe you're having some trouble losing a little bit of weight, but all of these things can be positively affected by having a sense of humor, by learning to laugh at things. So what we're about to learn about Benny is that Benny comes from a particularly intense field of expertise that was born in an even more severe field of expertise. So bear with me, and we are going to move forward.
New York fucking city.
Hey,
And
nobody's perfect.
growing up. Hey, well, actually, so here's the irony. My parents split when I was 4, and I grew up between two places, LA and New York. So I had the number 1 and number 2 biggest cities in the country at the same time, literally going back and forth every time I had a break in school to be with both my parents, because both my parents were good parents. Like it wasn't a never mind a situation. They were just divided by a continent. And the old Thomas Wolfe saying is you can't go home again. Well, I grew up in the LA of the Chips era,
Before it all went to
derbies
hell.
and things. And before everyone got real stressed out and assholey, which is what it is now. And the irony was the New York I grew up in
shit, I forgot. Okay, so I apparently need to remember to unmute the microphone. That's my bad. Mom, I love you. Benny is old school. Benny is unfiltered because he's been through life. He's seen life. He is still powerhousing through, you know, the kind of people in humanity which most folks would just turn their back on. So you're going to see what you guys are going to say. Okay, I love you, Benny. Man, I swear, you are the awesome. You are awesome, dude. Okay, here we go.
Which is where I considered home, and when I actually had a choice to live full time, I stayed in New York. No reflection on my mother. I love my mother, but L.A. is L.A. and New York is the capital of the world. But the New York I grew up in was extremely gritty. So when you go now and there's rental bikes and vegans and hipsters and know haute cuisine, that's not New York. I grew up literally in the East Village. We had a place at 13th University above the Lone Star Cafe where the Stromboli Pizza was around the corner underneath the bowling alley, and I'd see Marky Ramone or the Beastie Boys, Ricky Powell in there like every day. So but yeah, I mean, they were showbiz people. And I grew up in the greatest circus on earth. And I fell in love with the beat cop, in New York, because it was New York in the late 80s, early 90s, when there were 2,400 murders a year. It is not what we are dealing with now. It was a tough fucking town. And growing up in that city, I wanted to do something. I wanted to be that guy who kind of knew everything was going on in the neighborhood and handled everything that was going on in the neighborhood. And literally that was the course of life I picked at my early teen years, that by the time I was 18, I had already had my first police badge on my chest in the summer in Long Beach. At the same time, I was going to school as an auxiliary cop in Manhattan. So by the time age 20 happened, I was already a federal officer with the Federal Protective Service, working on the first Trades Bomber Task Force. It was pivotal in my career because I was proactive, and then I wanted to be reactive, and I went to an even tougher place than New York at the time. In 99, I ended up in DC, and I was a cop in Southeast DC, Anacostia.
Oh my God, what was that like?
Murder capital of the country back then.
Jesus.
Marion Barry was still alive and well. He had just been ousted from his second round as mayor. So the first time everyone knows, because he was caught in a hotel room with a crackhead.
What? So man, so you've been around some serious people.
Yeah. Comes back, wins again, thanks to DC voters. Terms out, and then becomes a councilman in my beat where I was policing in DC.
Oh boy.
And you had tweeted out Vince Martucci. So the very confused people who follow you need to understand what that is. That was like the alter ego I came up with when me and this cat named Timmy, I don't know if he wants me to blast his last name out there, but me and this cat named Timmy and this other cat named Jimmy were in this thing called Power Shift, which was like the worst of the worst, the hit squad. And it was 8 p.m. to 4 a.m.
So as you guys can see, Benny has immediately, in life from the very beginning, he was put from one intense environment into another, and then because of those environments where he grew up, he decided he wanted to give back to his community and dove into a field of work in probably one of the most dangerous communities in the country. In fact, he will tell you in a moment or so, he went into the most dangerous community in the United States and decided to give back to his community. The reason we're talking about all of this is because developing a sense of humor might have kept him sane, might have kept him on his toes, and probably could have saved more than one life. And we are going to talk about that at length. Because when you're under an extreme amount of stress, as a lot of you out there are right now, especially in a day and age when stress has been weaponized to distract you from focusing or distract you from going forth with your purpose, or even to manipulate your behavior, having a sense of humor can protect you from all that and can give you a little bit of protection from developing dangerous health conditions, the cortisol and all of that. So we're going to continue with this, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about why this is important. But Benny, man, this was the delight of my day talking to you today. This is awesome.
Policing while everyone's, either sleeping or doing the dirt. And they wanted us to go, buy whatever we could buy off the street in plain clothes. But me and Timmy were two white guys. Now, two white cops in a car together might seem kind of commonplace where a lot of your listeners are right now. But in Southeast DC, in a department that was over 70% African American, that was not the case. So we went way over the top with it. And so I came up with Vince Martucci, and I would just, play up the New York thing and just go deep with the, I'm trying to get my dick sucked, or I'm trying to buy a dime bag, or do you have a gun I could get, all this stuff.
Sorry, Mom.
Whatever I could pick up off the street. Here's the adage, and I want to kind of bring it home, right? Okay. What have you learned from this? So everything you do out there, including what you're doing now, what you did back in the day.
Yeah.
What did you learn from it? Everything you did, even the stuff you may not have done right, might have been proud of, might have been frowned upon as the times have changed. What did you learn from it? And now I'm like considered, ironically, don't let the sweatsuit fool you, I'm considered an expert. So what does that mean for all of you? It means even if you got funny ass stories doing dumb shit in the street, like I did, you could apply that. And even though I didn't go to New York and secure that great pension, and I ended up going to a job that screwed me over, and I made some tremendous mistakes and, screwed everything up, and then had to build it all back from scratch again. So when you're a cop in New York, you know your niche, and you have to work your way into other niches. My first day out of the DC Academy, and I had been a cop in New York for a couple of years, so it wasn't like green, but my first day out of the academy, they sent me to 6th District, and I had a murder. And in New York, when you have a murder, everyone's there. You got cops on every corner. You got a crime scene unit. You got squad detectives. In DC, after the initial detectives left the scene, my training officer went back in service, and I had to sit alone in the apartment with the corpse, waiting for the one medical examiner unit in the whole city to get to me 3 hours later. And I said, shit, what'd I do? This is like, what did I just do in my career? Like, I came here.
So here Benny begins to touch on why having a sense of humor is really important in his ability to maintain this path of doing work that's so important to him, and it's in his heart. So the way to relate to this and why this is important to those of you out there who are opening new businesses and falling on hard times, because when you first embark upon lifestyle or transformation change of any kind, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have pitfalls. But I'm using an extreme example by bringing you Benny Manis, because Benny went from one dangerous job to another dangerous job. And over and over and over again, he was immersed in these situations. But because Benny has an outrageous and unfiltered sense of humor, he was able to stay within his comfort no matter where he was, because he was able to see things and operate in these situations with a lighthearted mindset. I mean, that it's as dangerous as it gets, you guys. Being a police officer in any community is as dangerous as it gets, other than being on the front lines of a war zone. So all of you, uniformed personnel out there, you know exactly what this is about. And on days when you don't know how you're going to recover from what you see, what you do, or what you hear, having a sense of humor can protect you from collapse and give you the ability to go back and do it again the next day. Now, those are extreme examples, but how this relates to the regular everyday person is you're going to have ups and downs. Like for all of you new business owners out there, and for all of you who are embarking upon opening a new lifestyle or a venture, you're going to have bad days. You're going to have days when you're thinking, oh God, what am I doing to myself? Why am I doing this to my family? Why did I take out those loans? Why did I leave that job? What am I going to do? Benny Manis is the perfect example of why seeing things with a little bit of a cockeye, a little bit of a funny humor is going to help you move forward, is going to give you that energy and that power and that direction to keep going. Because if you're able to see things with a little bit of a twist, Benny, oh my God, it's going to give you that energy. So we're moving forward. I promise you, you guys, this is going to be worth it. Stick with me.
Here, let me put it in context. I started specializing in terrorism right after 9/11 because, hey, three of my friends, not friends, but guys I knew died, in the Twin Towers. And I felt, another racially insensitive thing to say, I felt off the reservation because I was in DC. And while we did have the Pentagon and I was part of, ops for that operation, Corps of Engineers came in and kind of tightened that shit up. So I was working, we didn't have days off for like the first 2 weeks. And then when we started doing it, I would go visit New York to see my friends because, we all knew people, like we had to kind of bond together. I ended up working in that capacity with the Department of Homeland Security. And then as what they call a Beltway bandit, a consultant. And the whole time I'm in DC, I'm a consultant. And the joke is DC at the time had this unconstitutional gun law. So I established an LLC and that morphed. It morphed from security work to, why St. Augustine's, which is the oldest African-American Catholic church and school in DC, was like one of my first clients because they kept getting burglarized. They are literally across the street from the Reed Center, which is a church and a Catholic school. And it's across the street from the Reed Center, which is like the Department of Emergency Management for the city. It has its own police department. And it still was getting just robbed constantly. And it, after doing the assessment there, I said, you don't have an emergency plan. Like they don't even have like a real emergency evacuation plan. Catholic schools, by the way, for anyone watching, they're actually not held to the same laws that public schools are. So
a lot of people don't know that.
If you think, I worked the plans there. I started getting a knack. I got really well received for writing the plans to prevent something. I was appointed the director for the Office of Investigations for the American Board of Internal Medicine here in Philly. That's what brought me up to Philly, 2008. So for any of you who might be out there domestically, if you hear your doctor say I'm board certified, you're welcome. Because I basically was the de facto inspector general, internal investigations, security, and emergency management director for the board.
So here you're listening to Benny describe how, he went from extreme circumstances. Now he's going into severe, difficult circumstances with people. What Benny developed into doing from his experience in law enforcement and anti-terrorism was he went into regulatory services and investigations. So he's had all kinds of experience dealing with things that might make most people collapse if they were to attempt these things. And what I'm trying to express to you by bringing you this interview and by bringing you Benny's life experience is that, wow. I mean, just wow. Can you imagine the pressure on an individual to choose to do a job, to be in a circumstance, to tell people they have to do something they don't want to do, or give them terrible news, or even to advise them, as you're about to hear, about how they're messing things up and putting themselves, people they're responsible for, in danger, or to tell people what they need to do to be compliant, how they're messing things up. Now, as a business owner or as someone who's making life changes, it's difficult. It's difficult to come upon these circumstances where you have to give people bad news or where you have to see things which might conflict with your comfort. So we're going to keep moving forward, and then we're going to have a little bit of fun after this.
Parkland trying to help push school safety legislation. So to this day, one of my only clients is the company that works for the Pennsylvania Department of Education and PCCD, developing the curriculum to train all the school safety officers, resource officers in the state of Pennsylvania. And and then from there, I went into financial services. So basically, when you said I was the risk whisperer, it's because in the 25 years I've been doing this dumb shit, I've learned to address security risk, safety risk, intellectual property risk, business continuity risk, and now regulatory risk because of the financial stuff.
I actually just became aware of something. I am not even sure if we are live right now. Normally I have a ticker or something and I do not see it. So, yeah. I don't know if you guys are seeing me right now. I hope to heck my internet is up, but you know what? I guess we're going to find out now, aren't we? So let's move on, shall we? Oh boy.
Watching this video, the reason you're listening to these, and I mean, look, I've been friends with you a while, and people probably follow my Twitter because they hear me on news radio, and this is the guy who writes about corruption in the DA's office. Why is he always liking the porn star? Because the porn star is doing good things, and everyone still knows you as one thing, but you're doing good things, and the more they reach out, they're going to
Working on
find
that.
that out.
I'm
But this
working
is the
on that.
point: nothing is instant. So
Right.
what you do, right? So what you do out there is you do your due diligence. So this is
Yes.
where like my, this is the shameless plug for what I do. But it isn't
Please.
just me. I mean, I'm not going to have the answers for every business. But the irony is I don't even have a podcast. I guest on radio shows all over the country, right? So
Why don't you have a podcast?
It's a good question.
You're
producing,
amazing.
like, yeah, I mean, literally, like the technical and the time frame, and I probably will at some point. So stay tuned, folks. Follow me on Twitter. But
Oh my gosh, yeah.
yeah, but that's not the point. Is I started giving you advice on a subject matter that I wasn't even. I'm an expert in it from learning about it, and I helped you get where you were going as you were taking the shots. So
You sure did.
everyone watching this who wants to try something new, you're not in this blind. Don't just do it. Do your homework. One of my biggest fields is business continuity emergency management because I've been through Y2K, 9/11, the sniper, 3 hurricanes.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? The Pope's visit. So all this stuff that completely shuts a lot of business down, you have to be ready for it. You plan for the worst, you succeed at the best. So
Right.
get out there and do your homework and ask people.
Talk
Ask
to people.
for help. Talk to
Yes.
people. That is the number one thing in reinvention is talking to someone who's first things first. And let's start with baby steps. Get yourself a goal, a mentor. Doesn't have to be someone you know. And when I was still on the job, I used to wait tables as a college kid, and then I go back to the restaurant, and one of the steady customers was the brigadier general from the Guard, who was deputy mayor of New York during Abe Beame. Like,
oh my God.
Abe Beame was the mayor in '77. So I want you to understand, this is a guy who was deputy mayor for a guy who, riot, blackouts, fires because of the riots, the Son of Sam, and the World Series all in the same year.
Are you getting an idea of what I'm talking about? Like, are you feeling the vibe right now? Like, who in the heck Benjamin Manners is? I mean, here's this guy who's done all of this stuff and all of these crazy things, which would have most people go straight to the loony bin, right? So keep in mind, Benjamin is an unusual human being. He's unusual because of all of the things that he has experienced in life and all of the things he's done in life. And he still manages to be a really great person. He manages to have love for his fellow man, no matter what walk of life they are. If you ever are fortunate enough to sit down and talk to this person, you'll see there are people still out there who are just genuinely good people. But it's the people that are the very funniest that have been through the most painful things. And he's going to tell you about that. But first, I want to give a shout out to my brother from another mother. Yo, Charlie, you guys know him as American Phoenix. Well, everywhere. He's a very special, very close friend of mine. I want to say, hey, Charlie, thank you for sending me that text because I was getting a little worried. My programs are a little bit goofy right now, probably because of those Sorry, Mom. I love you, Mom. most people next door, and my lights are going on and off, and I'm just like, you know what? Sometimes you just got to wing it, because if we didn't have a sense of humor about things like Benjamin is teaching us right now, we might crack, give up, and then just go back to whatever darkness some of you out there are trying to escape from. So we're almost through with this interview, but then then we're going to get out to. But for Charlie, AP, American Phoenix, I love you. You awesome mother lover. You're a great dude, and thank you for texting me. All right, here we go. Let's move on.
One looks good, and the other looks like he should be at the end of Casino saying that's that.
You look remarkably like the Robert De Niro character at the end of that movie.
It's the nose and the glasses.
It's totally the glasses, man. But you were such a lovable dude, and
these are good glasses. These are JMMs, man. No jokes.
I'm not even mad at you for it. Like, I wanted people to understand what your experience was, and how it is that you were able to do all of these things, and what created the mindset that you have now for success.
Yeah.
So we were talking about.
And screenwriters would want to have a drink with me, and that's how I ended up doing the technical advisor work. Right?
Which is awesome, and you're so good at it.
I just wish I was like really. I wish I didn't. The California people, I tend not to give them the respect they think they deserve, and that never results in repeat business. And that's what I'm still doing to this day.
You're also a man who's been married to a wonderful woman. She's a lovely lady. I'm sorry she couldn't join us today. But so you've been married, you've been in life and death situations, you've been in critical security situations. And, a lot of these are very serious events that require some effort sometimes, especially when there's conflict resolution or, a change of gears, as you would say, to help people succeed and move forward with whatever they're experiencing. So what we were talking about today is the power of laughter. And I've got a few examples I would love to ask you about. If you have, I know you have stories, Benny. You're Benny Manes, Mannes, for those of you who have been listening to me for your
2 ends, 2 syllables.
Benny Manes, I'm just
2 ends, 2 syllables.
For instance, when you and your wife have been married a long time, and there are arguments in every marriage, right? So your wife is super mad at you. Maybe you've done something stupid or inconsiderate, and you're a funny guy. So how do you use your humor with everything that you've seen and done in life? How do you use humor to dissolve like maybe a horrible argument you've had?
So you could tell when it's serious. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes I just. So I'm always joking around the house.
Yeah.
Keep it light around the house, guys. You only get, one good shot. I'm sorry, but when you're in a marriage, and I waited 12 years. You know what I mean? Like, so we're 12 years into this thing now, 14 if you consider the dating phase. But I was in my later mid 30s when I finally pulled the trigger, and I had horrible relationships before that. Not sometimes my fault. Horrible relationships. So now it's like one of those things where I could laugh it off. And I'm messy around the house. I'll do the dish. I'm like a typical guy. I'm not clean. She sometimes I could see she's busting balls, and I'll go over and I'll be like, "What? What's the problem? Is there something bothering me?" And then she looks up at me, and I give her that look like, And sometimes she wants to throw a brick at me, but she ends up laughing. And look, we both recognize that we're not perfect. We're not fucking perfect. Nobody is perfect. I break her chops about things. She definitely breaks my chops about things.
Wow. Oh my God. Perfect example about how to have a good sense of humor, right? This is not my first day on the job and I keep making rookie mistakes. I'll tell you what, you know what? I'm okay with myself. I am a human being. I'm imperfect. And in the eyes of in the eyes of the world, suck it, because I'm still here. But okay. So what I was trying to say before I realized I forgot to unmute the microphone again, and I'm sorry about that, by the way, is that Benny is he's the perfect example of how having a sense of humor can help you get through life. And when he is not at work in these severe situations, he brings that sense of humor home, and it has helped him have a wonderful, loving relationship with his wife, who is a lovely woman. I have talked to her. I know her. She's such a sweet girl, and she puts up with the likes of Benny, who is a spicy individual in so many different ways, and they are the perfect match for each other. But Benny was telling us about how having a sense of humor can help you have a healthy, happy relationship or a healthy, happy marriage. Because any of you out there who are married, you know that there are going to be, ups and downs. You go through changes in life, things happen, and sometimes that can cause a little bit of distress in your relationship. And Benny was explaining how that humor that he learned that protects him in those severe situations and with horrible people that he had to encounter earlier in life. And then those uncomfortable conversations that he has to have as a regular part of what he does now. He uses that same sense of humor to show love in situations that might otherwise be difficult. So we are going to move forward just a little bit. I'm not going to unmute the microphone again. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. You know what? Before we move forward and finish the rest of Benny's interview, I'm going to give a huge loving shout out to Beardo and the fellows over at Beard Vet Coffee. They have a brand new product coming out, and I had their ad spot uploaded and ready, and then my MF and internet cut out because of these Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I swear. I'll go to confession later this week. I'm going to put the link in the description of each of these platforms where you can find Beard Vet. Show your support for a veteran-owned company who is owned and operated by veterans, and they give portions of all of their proceeds to veteran charities and veteran causes. Beardvet.com. I love them. They are coming out with this new energy drink concentrate where you can make your own energy drinks now for pennies of what you pay for a can of communist pea water. Beardvet.com. Get you some Patriot up in your mouth. Here we go. Marriage, there are some ups and downs. We go through changes. Or with like friends, sometimes things happen and you kind of drift apart. But when you've got a good sense of humor, you can dissolve those grudges, especially if you've had an argument with a friend. You've had a friend for a long time, and maybe something was said that was pretty hurtful. And what are some ways that you've experienced that you've used humor to dissolve those grudges?
Always be you and let it out and bust balls. Busting balls
Bust
means
balls.
don't be afraid to bust balls. Take a swipe. Take a swipe at some, but not serious. See, here's the problem, and I call it the Irish problem. Yeah, my wife's Polish Irish. So, they tend to eat their stress and eat their stuff, right? And I just let the fucking shit out. Why? Because it's out. It's now in the open. Like, we're not hiding anything from each other. 9 times out of 10 problems, whether it be with a friend, a wife, whatever, it's because we ate it and then it boiled up. So something minor ends up becoming a problem, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll throw that shit right in your face. And that's the key, is have a little fun. Bust each other's chops every now and then. I've had a lot of friends, they'll come at me, I'll come right back at them. The key is not to have the thin skin, right? But yeah. if that way they know you're not fake. And this look, I live in a city. I moved when I had a chance to leave fake ass DC. DC and LA are the same place. They're both completely fake. One is for the entertainment industry, one's for the politics industry. Neither are real industries, as you know.
They're both liars.
So they're both playing parts. So yeah, I got a chance to get out, and I ended up in Philly, which is, one of the realest towns there is. And the joke is, we're assholes. but we're
Yeah.
assholes to your face, and you know what to
Yeah.
expect, right?
Yeah.
And we'll bust your balls and we'll get in your face. But if you need something, we're the most stand-up people. You know, if you catch someone out there being fake, you put that shit in the street. And that's where you have a real problem. So yeah, just tell
Yeah.
people to their face, you know. Yeah, it's like, so there's a famous South Philly comic named Dom Herrera, and he used to
Okay.
have this. He had this routine about, with all due respect. He's an Italian guy from South Philly. They always tell you, with all due respect. You know, with all due respect, you're a shadrul loser bastard. No offense. No offense. You just call me, you know, that works. That, you know, not for nothing. You're so cheap, you squeeze the nickel to the buffalo shits. No offense. If there's a kernel of truth in it, though, it makes it that much better.
Yeah. You know, and I can't imagine, with all the experience you've had doing like such serious and vital, you know, work, keeping people safe and telling businesses how to keep their people safe, their operations safe, and optimize them. I mean, there are some learning experiences that might you know, not be fun. So how do you infuse a little bit of humor in those situations? Like, what do you say to people when they're like, "Oh God, I'm so screwed"? What do you do?
It's the same thing you would probably want. So okay, my last contract ended, you know, a couple weeks ago, right? Now I got to find another contract. I'm in that gray area. I'm spending a lot of money because this is summer. So inside, I'm freaking out. That's natural.
Yeah.
You go sit down with a buddy who's a pain in the ass. I have this one friend, Anthony, who's just a fucking train wreck. You know, everyone's got that one friend who
I have that
who
one
just
friend.
has no filter.
Mhm.
You know, he's in his 50, lives in his mother's basement. You know, and he's one of these guys. You know, he's dating illegal immigrants because they say yes. I love you, Anthony, if you're watching. But he's that
I love you,
guy.
Anthony.
And all I need is 10 minutes on the phone. Oh, he probably loves you. I'll check his DVD collection. But
Jesus.
one time, I mean, this is the kind of guy who will offer you his house to stay in if you're in New York, me and my wife, and forget to take the DVD out of the DVD player. And my wife and I had a great laugh when we got home from the bar. Interracial, it was crazy. The man is into some things. Anyway,
Hey.
love you, Aunt. Love you, Aunt.
Love
You
you, Aunt.
fucking shit drool. Yeah.
Oh my
so,
God.
so Aunt, you know, but 10 minutes on the phone with Aunt, I feel better. I got another buddy, and this is how you get the flip side of the record, right? So the years I was growing up in LA, I have another best friend, and this guy Adam lives in Texas now. He's one of the LA people that moved. You know how that is. Half of LA have moved to Austin and Nashville. Just like they moved to Seattle in the 90s. They always leave LA and then make it LA and then have to leave there. So he's a Californian who now lives in Austin, and he's exactly my age. We got born on the same day. Our parents were friends. This is how long we've been like friends. But the irony is, like, he is the opposite of me. Like, he's into fitness and jujitsu. He's currently and has been unemployed for months, but is like zen about it, like real laid back. You know, now I'll call him, and my wife laughs because even when we all went to Austin and my wife saw us together for the second time, she was, besides him being at the wedding, she was like, "You guys become four. Like, you instantly become fucking pre-teenagers when you get in each other's presence. It just lightens it.
Yeah.
Like you get that one friend, and you could start busting chops. And I don't know why this keeps falling out of my head. You could bust chops. You could talk shit. You know, you could make dumb jokes about poopy and whatever. You know what I mean? Stuff you don't do in a board meeting with other people with graduate degrees.
Oh,
right. You need an outlet. That's the point I'm making.
Need an outlet.
I'm in a tough spot. My friends are in a tough spot. Whatever. We could always sit together on a stoop and have a beer, and kind of just, you know, talk. I got old cars or girls. You know, I got a wife that's not jealous, so I will sit there and talk about how good this girl looks who walks down the street. Just to, you know, just to lighten the load, not to think it's the problem with us all. And this is a big essential thing to what you're doing. as in a business right now, as people, including
Yeah.
me, we're all guilty of it. We get in our own
Yeah.
heads.
Yes.
When you can't get out of your head, when you can't disconnect. Now, there's a bunch of hippies out there that tell you to sit in an Indian style and meditate. I wish I could. When I meditate, all I can hear is the L going by, like in my head. Like this is, I need noise. I got PTSD. I need noise. I got to keep the party rolling, right? But
Yeah.
when my way of doing that, disconnecting, is to get into an old movie or get out with friends and just completely do something that isn't you. If you're an accountant, get a hobby where you work on old cars or carpentry or do something completely out of your realm, right?
Yes.
If you work on a scaffold somewhere as a general contractor, go home and paint or garden. Shit that they don't expect you to do. And that's the irony, like old Italian guys in Brooklyn, Queens, whatever. They always had their garden. And you're like, Vito, you fucking drive a truck. I don't care. I come home, I work on the garden.
The tomatoes.
It's that.
Yep.
It's the, yeah, well, you gotta make the sauce. But that's the outlet. You gotta have the outlet. It doesn't matter what it is. Just something non-toxic that makes you feel lighter. By the way,
for a
lot of my friends, that's comedy too.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not a comedian. I love hanging out with comics, but I fully admit I'm not one of those fucking guys. I could do that. No, you can't. If you ever sat home and said I could do that, but you've never gotten up on that stage and tried to do a tight five, you can't. It takes blood, sweat, and tears to get there. But the best comics, from hanging out with these dudes and becoming friends with these dudes, are the most damaged.
Yeah.
They're the most damaged people. Look, my two favorite comics in the world are Jim Norton and Joey Diaz.
Wow. Right. Wow. And he's so right. And as you're listening to this interview, and as you've gotten to know Benjamin Manis a little bit better, you can see the very last thing he said was probably the most powerful. The funniest people, the people that make people laugh the very most, are the people that have seen the most extreme and most painful circumstances or events in their lives. So you got that guy at work who's always cracking everybody up. Yeah, that guy's seen some things. Or that girl who's always making jokes and having a good time no matter what circumstance she might be in. She's seen some things. So hopefully this will give you guys a little bit of insight into the absolute gift of having a sense of humor and how it can get you through some extreme things in life and extreme circumstances. So Benjamin Manis, you are a special person, and I don't mean short yellow bus special. I mean you have a gift, because no matter what circumstance or what surroundings you're in, you have the ability to take things with a little bit of a different vision than other people, and that is something that's very unique. And I appreciate that about you, and I thank you for being a part of my life and helping me to see that in my surroundings, because doing all of this has not been easy. It has not been easy. And I don't want to give anybody the impression that making a total transformation from being a sex worker or being an adult entertainer, then to doing broadcasting and doing community outreach, it takes constant effort. And sometimes it can be a very sad and lonely battle, but it is worth it. So if you're making changes out there and you're trying to begin a new life or embark upon a new path, having a sense of humor and learning how to harness all of those things that you went through into seeing circumstances right this minute as not that bad can help you have a sense of humor and help you have a few laughs so you can get through whatever it is that you're going through. But we're going to do an expedited version of what I was actually meant to do before it just went crazy out there. Thanks, fellas. I am going to have to go talk with them in a few minutes. But some of the benefits of having, a few laughs when things are going wrong can be to, boost your immune system. So if you're under an extraordinary amount of stress for a long period of time, no matter what the reason may be, it can damage your immune system. There are chemicals in your brain. One of them is called cortisol. Now, cortisol is your fight or flight. It's when you get stressed out. It can affect you in many different ways. And feel free to look all of this up for yourself. But having a sense of humor and laughing can actually boost your immune system. It can relax your body. It can increase blood flow in your heart, increase your vessel strength, stuff like that. But it can also burn some calories. Swear to you. I looked this up. I did the research all myself. Now, let's just say you're having a fight. You're having a fight with your spouse, your girlfriend, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your next door neighbor's being a jerk. One of those things, or, somebody hit your car in the parking lot at the Walmart and you just feel like you're going to lose your mind. Having a sense of humor can help you get through these situations, and it can also dissolve conflict that you're having. So let's just say you back into somebody's car. Oh, somebody gets out. He's a big dude. He's having a bad day and he wants to kick your ass. If you can make that person laugh or see the humor in the situation, I know it's not pretty typical, but if you can make somebody laugh or calm them down, chances of you getting your ass kicked are much lower. And chances the guy wants to sue you will be much lower, and he or she might be more likely to resolve that situation out of court. Maybe they don't need to call the cops, because if you can make somebody laugh, you relax them. And if you relax them, they're more open to seeing alternatives to what they already got in their head. They're going to do you. You're screwed. But if you get them laughing, somebody is more inclined to like you. And if somebody likes you, they're less likely to want to cause you damage in one way or another. And it's the same with an argument. If you're having an argument with somebody, if you screwed up, you made a mistake, you hurt somebody's feelings, or you did something insensitive, maybe selfish, or, maybe you left somebody out, you know, approach the argument, approach the apology with a sense of humor and get somebody laughing. Not always the easiest thing to do, I understand, but there are different ways that you can bring humor to a difficult situation, which can kind of calm the waters so you can move forward with a conflict resolution, with, getting through a difficult circumstance. Now you can make a joke. You can make a joke, or use a play on words. You could make a self-deprecating joke. Um, Sarcasm, although if you're not particularly gifted with sarcasm, as most people who were born or bred on the East Coast are, for all of you Midwesterners and West Coasters, you think people on the East Coast are a bunch of a-holes. I can reasonably see how you would have that opinion, because most people are raised with a sense of filter about minding the way that they say things and being sensitive to people's feelings. Like a lot of those West Coasters, and I'm not going to particularly call out California because I have love for Californians. You're Americans. I love you. You're people too. But let's just face it, being politically correct and being overly sensitive to people's feelings versus presenting facts can sometimes get in the way of honest communication. Honest communication is not really an issue for people in certain areas of the country because they don't care about your feelings. And that's not to say people in other areas don't care about your feelings either. We just call them by different names. So this is a language I'm particularly familiar with, being honest beyond a fault. And sometimes it can bite you in the butt. But if you come forward with some comedy in a way that can help somebody see that you mean them well while still getting them the truth, chances of struggle in your ventures are going to be, well, I guess that just depends. I guess that just depends. Or, you're in an argument with somebody, you could have like a snappy comeback. If you've got a pretty secure sense of wit and you're encountering challenges, arguments, difficulties, circumstances which just generally suck, and you've got a wit or a sarcasm about you, it might pull you through to the other side and allow someone to see that you're not just some rotten jerk, and that you're worth working with. You're worth talking to about, how to move forward from that point. So instead of harping on the negativity and the extreme of the circumstance, of course, life and death, totally different situation. Totally different situation. That's a whole different ball of wax. But learning how to find the humor in something, as bad as it might be, can gain you an ally. It can gain you a favor to work the argument or the resolution into your direction. Okay, you guys, today's show is a little bit whacked. I actually thought they were going to cut my power and internet while we were midstream. Woo! So that didn't happen. And yeah, we're still here. We're still here. It is Saturday night here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I want to give special shout outs to a few friends of mine who are going through some changes. All of my classmates, all of the alumni, all of the Entre Institute people who continue to guide me in what it is that I do here. And for all of my clients out there who are going through changes, no matter how hard they may be, they keep pushing forward. And if you are a member of All Joy Inspired and you are a coaching client of mine, this show was especially for you. And to have a sense of humor if you're struggling today and your goals are proving to be a little bit more difficult than you hoped they would be, watch a funny video. Watch a funny video, go to a comedy show, have a few laughs with some friends. Man, talk about things. Talk about things that you've done in your life that have made you laugh. Share laughter, because when you share laughter with people, you find yourself being in a better mood. And last and not least, I want to say another hearty shout out and sending lots of love to Beard Vet over at beardvet.com. They are announcing the pre-release of their energy drink concentrate, which will help you make up to, I believe it is 40 energy drinks out of one bottle of concentrate. So guys, go check them out at beardvet.com. They are taking pre-orders for that now. And I also want to send a little bit of love out to my brother from another mother, my my truck driving brother, Charlie, over American Phoenix. I love you, man. I love you. You are a soulful individual in a young man's body and a long haul driver. You are the American spirit. And of course, thank you, Benjamin Manis out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for coming and hanging out and explaining to people in raw detail how being in the most extreme circumstances can result in a powerhouse magic of having a sense of humor and how to use it. Really appreciate you today, man. Tell your wife I said, I love you, girl. Thank you for sharing your husband with all of us today. And we will talk to you guys next week, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on All Joy Inspired, founded Digging from Darkness, Living in Light. I will see you guys soon. Woo, woo. Oh my God, there we are.